This is the all-new Toyota Urban Cruiser, a fully electric compact SUV, which some may argue is the most important car that Toyota have released in years, because despite being a modern EV, it's a car built for real people. It's not overly performative, it's not overly techy, and its design doesn't look like a vanity art project. It simply feels like an old school proper SUV, and with that interior and rather decent mile range, it just feels like the perfect all-round electric vehicle, whether you're an existing EV user or you fancy making the switch. And I just think models like this might need to start rolling out a little too often. With that looming 2030 EV mandate, some people don't want an overly performing car. Some people don't want a NASA side project. They want a car with four wheels that works for everyday use. First, let's talk about its design, and for those car lovers out there aware of the latest EVs coming to the market, then you notice it shares some resemblance to Suzuki e-Vitara. It's built pretty much on the same platform and shares a lot of characteristics, especially in that interior. But on its exterior look, I mentioned in the intro that this feels like an EV for genuine people who just want a practical car for everyday life. Its exterior design just shows that off, because if you weren't aware what this is, you probably wouldn't notice it out on the road and go, oh, there's a new electric car. It doesn't look like one. And I think I love that. It's not got a really unique LED light design. It's not got some pixels floating about or some really abstract art going on at the front. It simply just looks like a compact SUV. It somewhat mimics that of the RAV4 or this new CHR. It feels very Toyota with all the different dips in that front segment, a slight partition when it comes to that front bumper, but overall there's not so much design that's just thrown in your face. You probably won't notice it out on the road. It might kind of blend in with the rest, but I quite like that. I like a car that actually feels like a car. This does. And despite having that modern twist of it being a fully electric compact SUV, 10 years ago if Toyota released this, you'd go, oh, that looks nice. And even today it still looks nice. So it just goes to show that you don't need to over-design an EV. You just need it to make it look smart and look like an actual car. And this does all the way throughout. Even the alloy wheels, you'll get 18-inch on the base and mid-spec. Top spec, you'll get 19 inches. But again, they just feel like something else that's been produced in the Toyota range. There's nothing overdone about them. There's nothing so mind-blowing about the alloy wheel design. It simply just works. And that kind of flows throughout the entirety of the Urban Cruiser. And that almost sense of simplicity when it comes to its design only carries on in its silhouette and side profile, because again, looking at it, it doesn't look like an overly designed EV. It looks like a true SUV to its core. It feels rugged. You have kind of plastic trims at the bottom, which I don't think necessarily takes away from it. Some people might think, well, that's just Toyota finding a cheap corner around completing the car. I think it suits it. It has that vibe about it. You get rear-approved glass from standard as well as keyless entry, so again, adding to the practicality, but ultimately it's just the definition of a car. I'm not blown away by it, but I just think it looks smart, it looks modern, whilst also feeling a bit old school. It's a kind of fine line that Toyota have gone with. Overall, design I think is great. Likewise, with the interior, I'm sat here and I'm thinking, am I sure this is an EV, not a hybrid or even a combustion engine? Yeah, it's got a really silent engine, but looking at the landscape of this interior, it doesn't have anything that massively throws out, but I think it's quite refreshing in that sense. It's all very simple and all very practical, and ultimately I think that's what's been missing from the car world. When EVs started coming into fruition and there was loads being churned out by so many different manufacturers, and you pinpoint on the road, go, oh, that's a new electric car, that's a new electric car. You get in, it's all nice and bright, and you've got flashing lights everywhere, and you've got a ridiculous screen. This doesn't have any of that. It will have ambient lighting, depending on your spec, and you will get plenty of tech, even from its entry level. But ultimately, it's just the epitome of car, and that's what I like. From its entry level, you will get a 10.1-inch touchscreen, which comes built with sat-nav, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as a 10.25-inch digital dash, which can actually house your infotainment screen and all your controls for your adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, and plenty more safety features, which I'll explain when I take this out on the road. The infotainment screen is fairly straightforward, but I just think that's the running theme with the Urban Cruiser. It ultimately just does the job, but it does it well. It has sat-nav built in, which isn't lagging any stretch. It's pretty responsive, but you will have Apple CarPlay Android Auto, which you'd probably use. So this actual sat-nav almost feels redundant if you want to use it. You can change all your climate control settings in this infotainment screen, although I do like the fact you have shortcut buttons. Again, almost reflects that thought that this feels like a bit like an old school compact SUV, because you have physical buttons that have almost gone extinct from the car world. We get them back. The only thing that won't have a physical button is your heated seats and heated steering wheel settings, which come from the mid-spec and obviously on the top spec. That's controlled in here, but again, it's a straightforward system. I don't think you'd be too off-put that all comes from an infotainment screen. You have to use that to toggle them settings on or off. Design-wise, and I feel like the looks have gone from exterior and just kept squeezing in, and it's just infiltrated the entirety of this car because it's so chunky and rugged. It's a proper SUV. It almost feels like a 4x4 just with the look of it. Added to that sense of practicality, we'll get plenty space and storage, a little phone slot which can house a wireless phone charger, and also deep pockets underneath. You will actually get 2 USB-C ports under there, so again, down to practicality. So passenger or front, your device is going to be charged pretty straightforward. Adding to the fact that you do get physical buttons, your drive mode selector is housed in your center console, where you'll get Eco, Normal and Sport, and depending on what spec and powertrain, you also get snow driver mode, which is great because it's just going to make them trips to work that much easier when it comes to actually commuting to work. You get plenty of actual customization within the car in terms of how it performs out on the road, its safety settings, and also in your digital dash. Because I said you can actually integrate your sat nav into that digital dash. You can have different info settings. You can change the regenerative braking in this infotainment screen. It's all just so practical in every sense of the word. I feel like I waffled on a bit there, but do you know what? I think it's great. And what certainly is great is the space in the rear, meaning that the Urban Cruiser could be a perfect family vehicle. Loads of legroom. Granted, I've had this driver's seat pushed mightily forward because my little short legs, but if that was all the way back here, I'd still have loads of legroom. I mean, I can fully stretch out here. You'll get a completely flat floor, so if there was a middle rear passenger, then again, they'd still be pretty comfortable because of how much headroom, and also from the fact that from the base spec you will get rear privacy glass, so just adds to that comfort. Decent amount of storage. There's only tiny pockets in the little door cards, and a slight little one down here would be nice as maybe a little drawer section or drop down compartment here. There's maybe fit a phone and wallet down there, but you will get 2 USB-C sockets in that center console. A fold-down armrest again would have been nice, but I don't think it's massively missing. I don't think it's a hindrance in any sense of the word. And as well, you will get ISOFIX points on either side, and with how wide these doors actually open, it would just make getting a car seat in and out just that bit easier. It's not kind of here and having to squeeze in. I'd say it's probably at about an 85-degree angle, which I think would just be ideal. Those performance stats on paper, for me, I don't think they paint the entire picture when it comes to the Urban Cruiser, because you look at them, 0 to 60 of either 9.6 or 8.7 seconds, which for an EV isn't particularly impressive. EVs are notoriously quicker than a combustion engine counterpart, whereas this kind of feels like on the same level as a combustion or hybrid compact SUV. But I think with that exterior design, how it looks and feels on the interior, when you get on the road and start driving, it then starts to feel a lot quicker, and you can then differentiate it from a combustion engine SUV, which I then think only makes the driving experience a lot more enjoyable than what it would be, which I think only makes the driving experience a lot more enjoyable than what it should be, because you step into it, you start to feel the car, and when you get out on the road, you're probably expecting a certain type of performance, a certain type of driving experience, and it almost does a polar opposite of it. Because it's an EV, it has that much zappier torque than a petrol SUV, then it ultimately just feels really impressive, because you start having this stereotype about how this car is going to feel out on the drive. You then start driving, and that's blown out of the water. So I don't think them performance stats are necessarily a hindrance. And as for how it actually drives, stats aside, it's comfortable, it feels really controlled and really smooth. And I think that kind of ties into the fact that it doesn't look like a car that have a smooth driving experience. You know, it looks like a rugged SUV, so you'd think it'd be a little bit sort of jumpy, having to take a little bit for an engine to kick in. Doesn't have that, 'cause it doesn't have an engine, has a battery and an electric motor. So when you put your foot down, it has a really nice, smooth transition when you're climbing up the speeds. Toyota are ultimately known for being very practical, being efficient, being pretty user-friendly and easy to live with. And this interior and how it feels out on the road only just emphasises that fact. Yes, the infotainment and the digital dash might seem a little bit basic, but I'd almost argue that it's more efficient and streamlined because of just how simple it is to use. It's not overdone, it's not loads of tech housed. Has what you need, has reversing cameras, has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, traffic sign recognition, adaptive cruise control, all built in to that digital dash. The fact it has physical buttons in a car released in 2026. I know you might not think that that's massively impressive, but the way cars are going, physical buttons is almost like gold dust, especially for an EV. One thing I do like, which I think shows the practicality of the urban cruiser, is, yeah, that infotainment screen and digital dash is all in one module, but when they're both powered on, the digital dash is actually a lot lower and sits lower in that sort of screen space, and you kind of have this blank strip running across the top, and you might be thinking, well, surely they could have extended that digital dash to make it bigger, because now it looks a little bit uneven. Whereas for me, I think it's a smart choice. It means that nothing is cut off in that digital dash. You can see everything because it's neatly tucked in that space in the steering wheel. And I think it kind of goes to show that they've not gone all out on aesthetics, all out on being a show-off. They've gone, do you know what? We need a screen, we need a digital dash, we need it to be usable out on the road. And they've done that without really considering about how posh it looks or how bougie. They've gone, we need to make an EV that's usable for everyone, for every day. One thing I've actually not tried out is the sport driver mode. So if we just change it into sport, let's see. Oh, it certainly feels a lot more responsive, a bit more give and go. It feels like you only need to slightly tap the accelerator now for it to really start to kick into gear. Steering feels a little bit looser. You kind of feel like sport drive mode, you want it a bit firmer, so you feel like you got a bit more control, whereas this is a bit more freeing. A sport mode's go for a compact SUV could be a lot worse. I mean, I've not got my foot on the accelerator. If we just literally slightly tap it, definitely has a lot more punchiness. Now, this model I'm currently driving houses that bigger 61 kilowatt hour battery, so not 6 times probably as quick as you're going to get, but that feels like it has a lot more force in it. It does really throw you back. They definitely got that right, Toyota, because this feels a heck of a lot quicker. I just don't think there's too much to complain about the feel of this out on the roads, apart from that sport driver mode, which could be a lot of fun, and I think is almost definitely needed for this type of car. There's nothing that I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. There's nothing that I'm really going, oh, I really wish that was better, that I'm feeling a bit bored here and snoozing off. It just is a good EV. And I mentioned it would be good for either existing EV users or first time. I think it would be more ideal for a first time because it doesn't feel too dissimilar for a hybrid or petrol SUV. It's kind of what you'd know. It's not overly techy. It's not garish and in your face. I think it's the perfect stepping stone. I think it's clear to notice that the urban cruiser kind of feels like a great all-round EV, whether you're an existing electric vehicle driver or you're looking to make the switch. However, there is a but, and speaking of buts, it comes with the rear of the car. Not its design, I think it looks good. I like that addition of the LED light bar. Maybe it would have been nice to replicate that at the front, but I don't think that's a necessity. It still has that overall good look and it all kind of sinks in nice, but I do like that addition. The but comes with its boot capacity. It's somewhat of a sizable car in terms of its dimensions. However, its boot space is somewhat limited. You get up to 310 litres. If you do drop that second row, then you're going to get around about 564. It's still a good amount of space for a compact SUV. It somewhat mirrors that of the Nissan Juke, and I think its dimensions, although might be slightly longer than a Juke, but its interior space and storage is much better. although you can actually customise that second row so it can slide forward to give you a little bit more space. But I wish that was just a tiny bit more, around about the 400 mark, and I think it would have just ticked every single box. Slight little letdown, but I don't think it'd be the end of the world. So then, there you have it, the all-new Toyota Urban Cruiser. Now, some might be scratching their eyes thinking that this is a Suzuki e-Vitara. It shares many similarities with it and pretty much built on the same platform. However, don't let that deter you from experiencing this compact all-electric SUV, because it just seems like a perfect all-round vehicle. It's not obnoxious in any stretch in terms of its performance, in terms of its design or its tech. It simply just does the job, but does it absolutely brilliantly. Quite refreshing that a brand new EV has come out and looks like this and feels like that out on the roads. Yes, it would have been nice if it's 0 to 60 time but slightly bit quicker, maybe had a few more premium features inside that interior. But when it comes to its price point, starting for less than £30,000, you're getting plenty of car, not just in its size and space in its interior, but also what you get for its money. And I think all round, I don't have too many complaints. I would be very happy owning this car. And if you would like the chance to own one of these or experience the all-new Toyota Urban Cruiser for yourself, then contact Ron Brooks Toyota. To find out more, check out our website.